Roll Tide, everybody. Yeah, I'm on here early, and it's great to talk to you, whether you're at Cover Crimson or you're at Bama Tailgate. But the postgame show is here. Jam Miller just jamming it into the end zone. Frustrating night, to say the least. And I like the way that this team's going to finish. But a lot of questions about these officials. Didn't like the way this game was called. Really didn't like the way this game was called. Got our guy Cole Adams out with an injury. Not sure what that deal is, and we'll find out. But we're going to talk about it here on the show. Phone lines are going to be open. They are open, and we're going to get this thing started right now. Clint Lamb's going to jump on. We might have EG from Bryant-Denny Stadium hang out with us as well. We'll hear from Kalen DeBoer. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Bama with a 35-16 lead. So that puts it away. But this one was there's just a lot of weird stuff about this game. And I want to hear what you guys say, but let me just go ahead and bring in my main man here to talk for this, the remainder of this game with me. And we'll just kind of do this and then pick things up as we go. But hey, if you're not a member of Cover Crimson, make sure that you guys switch and be a part of that. I know I missed you guys last week on the Bama Tailgate channel. I'm part of both channels, okay? So that's why we're the post games going on there. But what's going to be on here, just because we got you guys needed to know that, and now you know. Big Sexy Elmo. And you talked to me before the game, and you said, for some reason, the line is going like this. You said, why is it gone from 31 to 27? What do they know that we don't?
I don't know, but, they went from 31 to, 28, 27 and a half. And I took Bama at 28 and a half because I thought they were going to cover that, but tonight has been an odd night. You're right. I don't know what's going on. What's that?
I said something's fishy.
Something's fishy. It's like
that first half was like, it reminded me of that Tennessee game a couple years ago where every single play Alabama made was throw a flag, throw a flag, throw a flag.
Yeah, and we made a joke about it sitting outside. We're outside on the deck here watching the ball game, and we would yell out flag, 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 and it was every play it seemed like. But I don't know, man. This was an odd test, and I got to thinking about it earlier. Do you think that maybe the distractions of everything with Coach Saban and the dedication of the field, did that take away from something? And I thought, well, no, surely not. But we talked about it in our daily show, several times during this past week. We've had problems with this head coach at USF. Gave us problems last year. He was the head coach there. 2 years ago, he was the offense coordinator at Tennessee when they beat us. So, I didn't like the play of the offensive line. I didn't. We just did not look. We didn't look well tonight.
Nothing was going well. You're right, man. But let me get to this right here. And you guys in the comments section, crank it up. Thundar the Barbarian, good to see you, brother. Mick, is Elmo wearing Tennessee orange? What the hell? What are you doing, man?
I always get that. Look, let me tell you something.
Where's your
when you're a single man and you do laundry, it's the cleanest thing I had. Give me a damn break. Oh, they're giving me the hat.
Your hat back. But you have another hat.
But see, this hat is cool, but it won't fit my big head.
Where's your hat? Do you have your hat? Thundar, is that better? Thundar, is that better right there? The guy's rolling around in Jasper, Alabama, wearing an elephant head tonight. An orange.
I pulled up with it on. and everybody was like, yeah, Roll Tide. And then I was like, watching the ball game, and I was like, oh, man, this is rough. And especially when you laid 28 and a half. Wake up, Elmo. I'm tired. I am awake.
Well, good to see you guys. And again, we'll have Clint Lamb coming from the stadium. He's there taking it in. He's our professional. Brett and I are just a couple of Alabama fans that.
Hey, and roll tide to everybody. Cheers. A win is a win. And we're still at, 35-16 now.
Yeah, 35-16. Jackie says, talking about Formby, I can't even believe it. Like, I don't think all of those are holds, but man, the offensive line was crap, man. I mean, just crap tonight. Shall I say it? Shit. They've got to step up, man. That was a bad game. And I know that they've had some guys out.
That's the thing about all of it is we put a lot of faith in the offseason on this offensive line. We thought they were going to be the best in the country. And tonight, they didn't look like the best in the country at all.
No.
So, I'm hoping Alabama comes back here and scores another touchdown, and maybe I'll cover.
Are they? Yeah, you're not covering.
What are we at now?
Thank God that USF can't pass. And I'll tell you, while I was watching Tennessee on the small TV, they're going to give Alabama trouble.
Yeah.
Running that same damn offense, they're going to give us trouble. We've got a lot of work to do. And if you get this same officiating crew, you can forget about it.
Well, the thing is, and I'm reading the comment section, and we had distractions.
I'm not arguing with Lee. Look, Lee, we busted some late because we wore them out, but you're right.
Yeah, and then we had a touchdown called back. Okay. The thing is, we thought this was going to be one of the best offensive lines in the country, and tonight they didn't show that. Penalties, yes, you're right. In the comment section.
Win is a win, Brett.
A touchdown.
Win is a win. I agree with that.
Touchdown, Alabama.
Win is a win. You're ahead of me right now. Thanks for ruining it. And you're right. A win is a win. I'll take it.
41-16.
Right tackle was a problem the whole time. Look, I mean, we thought Formby, and look, it's one game, but this was not Formby's game.
No.
Ice, baby. What's up, Ice Man? Good to see all you guys, man.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody in the comments and everything. The field goals up, and the PAT is good. 42-16 with 1:37 to go.
Yeah, pouring it on late.
What was the over?
I don't know what the over was. What was the over on this game?
Don't ask me any hard questions.
Mike was asking, did I cover? I had them 28.5, so my Curry, Alabama math does not.
Look, you got a friend here. You got a friend here. I always knew Big Sexy had it in him. Man, you're going to have to work on your wardrobe, man.
Hey, look.
Tennessee Toes Tall is saying that to you, man. Hey, let me go to the phone lines, Brett. Let me get some people.
Let's go to the phones.
All right, let's see what we got here. Who's this and where you calling from?
Nick, it's Timmons from Jasper.
Kevin from Jasper? Are you in there with Brett?
Hey, can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Are you near Big Sexy Elmo?
Hang on a second.
Can you see me up here? It's our buddy Timmons.
What'd you think about the game, man?
Timmons. Yeah, it's Timmons, man. What a game. I mean, you have to give credit to Bama for the grit and figuring it out through the entirety for all four quarters, and it's paying off right now as we're watching it.
But obviously,
like Elmore was saying earlier, this coach at USF, he's got Bama's number a little bit. Where'd you say he was? He was from Tennessee 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And, gave us hell last year. But this is the kind of game these teams need. This team especially as a new team under a new head coach, or same team under a new head coach, however you want to say it. But they need these kind of games to galvanize them through the rest of the season. They can learn these lessons now, early.
Hey, look, better this week than next week.
Going forward.
You're right, man. Better this week than next week against on the road at Wisconsin. They'll have everybody's attention will be attentive,
Right.
Right. Well, like I said, great games, and it's now really we thought like we was going to. The score's not going to show how close of a game this was, but
happy to be here. Happy to win. Also,
he was doing laundry.
But Tim, you've gone to bat for Elmo today with the orange shirt, although he did make a friend with the Tennessee guy in the chat. So said he had it in him. Any final thoughts from the Pie Factory in Jasper?
Hey, everybody get out here.
Jasper next weekend for the festival. Alabama's playing at 7 at 10 p.m. at Park 64.
Hey, roll tide, Timmons. Good to see you, brother.
Roll tide, Mick. Have a good night.
Great call there. Great call. Right behind you, man, to get the night started. One of your guys, the Timster.
Yeah, one of my best friends. He served in the military and just a great guy, and has always been a very good friend of mine, and always enjoy watching the ball games with him and his wife and his friend Bolak, our friend Bolak, and I still didn't cover, did I not?
All right, Brett, I'm going back to the phone lines again. We got a full rack of calls. Let's go right back to the lines and talk. Who's this and where you calling from?
Big Nate Dogg from Kentucky.
Nate from Kentucky. Roll Tide, man. What'd you think about tonight?
Hey, roll damn tide, my brother. What's going on? You doing all right?
Look, man, I'm going to be honest with you. I was pissed off at the officials. I didn't like the energy that Alabama played with, but I'm feeling a whole lot better right now, man. A whole lot better.
Hey, amen, man. That's what that bourbon does to you, man.
I like a good bourbon. And I honestly, Nate, this might be a night for an old fashioned. I mean, when you go through this this wasn't the smooth sailing that everyone's going to wake up tomorrow and see it's 42-16. Oh, Alabama had them. No, it was a dog fight today, but Alabama won the game.
That's what it's all about, man. Like, honestly, overcome some adversity like that, dealing with officials and all that stuff. Just happy. We came in on top, did what we had to do, and kind of a nice little wake-up call heading into next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm happy about it.
We didn't need the big head, and it was too easy last week. You go back and watch, and Clint's going to be on, and he'll tell you he went back and watched it. There was a lot of rust there you could see, but we just scored on them so fast. Your friends from over there in Bowling Green, and this week wasn't like that. I mean, we had a lot of 3 and outs. They were holding our receivers early in the game. The officiating was just bull crap, man. I mean,
horrendous,
awful. I mean, just I'm sorry. It just was. It is what it is.
Hey, one quick thing on that, man. I feel like, and that's the problem dealing with these officials these days, man. It's like they just want to interject themselves into the game.
Damn, they did it.
It just drives me nuts.
That was the worst. And then they would call a couple penalties on them. But I'm watching Ryan Williams get mugged and grabbed and pulled going down the field the entire game. They were doing that to all the receivers. They were so focused
Right,
on that offensive line, and it was like, come on, man. I mean, you could call a penalty every play if you want to.
Right on, man. Listen, Mick, I ain't going to hog up the lines, man. You're my ride or die, brother. Hey,
thank you, Nate.
Roll damn tide, brother.
Roll,
love you, buddy.
Roll damn tide, and love you too. Right back at you. I'm going to have a little bourbon for you tonight, Nate. Always great to hear from you. Right back on the phone lines again to talk about this. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Mick, it's Ice, man.
Ice, baby. What is up, brother?
Man, I'm about to go get a beer. I just got off work, and it really sucks having to watch the game and freaking out the entire time while
I'm in the middle of a party, Mick, apparently.
Wow, what a finish. Something that I noticed, and it's just kind of ironic. Last year, a lot of our woes on the offensive line came from Caden Proctor. Ironically, we're missing him this time, and our offensive woes are coming because we don't have him out there. Isn't that kind of crazy?
It is kind of ironic, man. It's like rain on your wedding day. It's like a free ride when you already paid. It's the good advice that you just can't take. Ice, you're exactly right, man. Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what, though? Something I did notice is we put Pritchett out there when we started scoring. So, it kind of worries me about the depth on this offensive line because, if we're that thin on it, we're going to be in a dogfight with USF because our O-line just can't get it together. I mean, hopefully we can get this O-line to gel real quick. So.
Hey, look, man, we got a noon showdown, which is really 11 o'clock against Wisconsin next week. In whatever they call their Camp Randall, Madison, Wisconsin. We better get this shit ready, man. I mean, I'm sorry, we just have to. This is the After 10 show, guys. I'm just throwing it out there for you because I'm being real. We got to get this figured out. That offensive line was not good enough, and you combine that with the officiating and not the kind of game that we expected to have up front. I thought we would freight train those guys.
Yeah, I think we all did. And you know what's sad, too, is I spent all that time laughing at Notre Dame. And I thought that we were about to have the same exact thing happen to us. I'm like, no way.
Could have been worse.
But yeah, I gotta give praise where it's due because, I'm sure the next few callers in line, they're going to have their gripes, and I want to leave that to them. Yeah, I mean, the praise, I got to give that defense credit. They did exactly what I thought they would do. I thought they'd hold them about 13 points, and they weren't too far off. I texted you this earlier, and, I'd like to say it kind of reminded me of that John Chavis style, like bend, don't break defense. Mm-hmm. And I kind of like it. You just got to be big and strong whenever you play that way, though. The Jalen Milroe, I mean, he didn't really do too much wrong. I would have loved to have that big touchdown run that he had on the board, but those refs, man, those refs wanted it. And I mean, how about the skill positions of standing up and just taking the game over when they needed to? I mean, Ryan Williams, Toby Prentice. I mean, Jam and Justice finally came through. I mean, they were stuffing them up all game. Finally, they just found the crack in the dam. And I'll leave that to you. I'll hop off the phone. Good night and roll tide.
Roll tide, brother. Thank you. Ice, always great to hear from you, man. Appreciate you, and we will talk to you again soon. Roll tide. Have that beer. Relax. It is what it is, man. But a win is a win. We'll go back to the phone lines again and go right back at it. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick, it's Adam calling from Georgia. How's it going?
Adam, man, what is up, dude? What is up? Roll Tide. I know you were sweating this one out.
Hey, yeah, I was sweating it out and drank too much bourbon, but it's great to talk to you. I'll be just very brief.
Hey, Nate in Kentucky, he'll be happy that you did that.
Well, it was great. But
well, let me ask
I
you a
was a little
serious
bit
question real quick. What bourbon was it? What kind of bourbon is your thing?
Woodford Reserve.
Okay. Oh yeah. Double oaked, baby. Got to go double oaked. But I like the
Yeah,
regular too.
straight up.
Regular too. Yeah.
I think I'm going to keep drinking more of it until I go to sleep. I just love it. But I'll be really brief. I was a little bit reluctant to call because I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this.
Go after him. I know you're going to go after him. You tell me what you think.
I think we are not going to compete for a national championship with Jalen Milroe. He is not a quarterback. He doesn't read defenses. He doesn't go through his progressions. He's overthrowing receivers, taking unnecessary sacks. And I love the guy. He's a wonderful human being. He's a great leader, and he's going to be successful in whatever he does in his life. But we are not going to compete for a national title with him at quarterback. And that to me is really sad, but that's a fact. And I wanted to get your thoughts about, what you thought of his performance.
Look, I thought this wasn't one of his best games in the pocket. I mean, when he was taking those sacks, it reminded me of playing flag football at Alabama, and they would put me in at quarterback every once in a while, and I would try to find it. I'd just keep going back, and then somebody would sack me, and then after two of those, they'd be like, all right, you're out. But I think that part of this was the offensive line. I think part of this is him. And I think that he's got to get better at the short range balls, man. That's what we've talked about forever. But he is so explosive and he's such a playmaker that every time he touches the ball, he's a home run hitter. I mean, he's got a chance to hit a home run, so that's a big part of this too, that you have to factor in when you talk about him. I mean, yeah, he's not Bryce Young, but no one is. And I don't know that there's a better answer on the bench than him. I don't think there is. I just think that, I mean, look how fast we scored at the end of the game. So you gotta look at that right too. I mean, I know that I'm watching that them blitz him every time, and I'm going, where's the screen pass? Where's the stuff to slow this down? Your screen busters. And honestly, I can't wait to talk to Mike Johnson. I can't wait to talk to Jake Coker on covercrimson.com, Elephant in the Room, and then the All-American Report, just because I want to hear what those guys think. I don't know the intricacies of what's being called and what's being missed, but watching him go backwards was frustrating. But then when I watch him turn the corner and run into the end zone like a freight train, I mean, you got to give the guy credit for that too.
Yeah, I do give him credit for that. And you make some great points, but I just feel like, it's his fourth year in the program and we're still talking about the same problems and I don't see any improvement, but I wish the best for him. And at least we got a win tonight, like you said. Thanks for taking my call, as always, Mick, and great show, man.
Hey, thanks, Adam. Always great to hear from you, man. And Roll Tide in Atlanta tonight. And again, let me recap. And not that anyone needs me to, but we won. We won the game, 42-16. We won. It doesn't feel like much of a win right now. Brett, I'm gonna go back to the phone lines in a second, but I'll tell you this: that was a tough win for Alabama.
Tough win for Alabama, but let me ask you, Mick, these penalties, the concern about that, most justified or unjustified, you think?
I think that they could call penalties every damn play. I mean, I didn't like the way that this game was officiated from the start, and it's it's just the way that football is. I'm going back, I'm watching the Ravens and the Chiefs the other day. They called Ronnie Stanley for 4 plays where they said he was lined up off the line of scrimmage. And then you go back and there's a video of the Chiefs guy off the line for 4 plays and they didn't call it. I really worry when I see a lot of penalties being called like that, like it was today. Some of them you got to call, but you could call holding, and they got a couple of them too. There was a couple that they had. Yeah. And I didn't think that it was a good broadcast team. I didn't like those guys. I not to say that they're, listening to Gary or something, but I just wasn't my flavor. And I wanted I wish they had options where you could just opt out of the broadcast and pick another broadcast.
Well, you can get the Learfield. You get the Learfield app and then pause it. And then, we publicize that on the Crimson Tide Sports Network every week. But
Brett, I got a question here from Mike Coleman. He wants to know, did you cover?
28.5. I don't think I did. No.
Didn't. So you lost again.
Lost again. Well, and this may, piss some people off, but I'm looking at the comment section. And Nick, do you have the stats in front of you?
I can pull them up. I have them. Yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
How many? What did Milroe do in this ball game? That's what I want to know because and Mick, you and I talked earlier today, and we were like, why does I posed the question, well, why does everyone want to blame Milroe for everything?
Well, he's a quarterback. I mean, that's kind of the.
Well, yeah, I know that, but what did he do in this ball game? I know he scored several touchdowns, right?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
But the thing is, everyone, Crimson Rabbit right now. Milroe has got to go. We won the ball game. I don't understand it.
I think because people feel like that, some of those struggles. All right, he was 16 of 26, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And then running the ball, he was 12 carries and 14 yards. But 12 carries for 2 yards because they take all that sack yardage out.
Yeah, yes.
Jam Miller fumbled, but you know what? The guy had 15 carries, 140 yards, and Justice Haynes carried it 13 times for 46 yards. Bama turned the ball over a lot. There was so many things that happened in this game that just weren't very Bama-esque.
Yeah, there were a lot that happened there, but I don't want to hear this excuse about Milroe every time we lose a close ball game. Who do you want else? Do you want Ty Simpson? Let's put him in there. Let's see. I don't understand. I mean, everybody's always over the quarterback, and I don't understand it. Look, we won the ball game. That's we made mistakes all over the field.
There's a comment for you. Adam says, we're clueless. Milroe is not a good quarterback. He's just not.
Well, what in the hell has he done? He's only won a bunch of games last year, and he's undefeated this year.
He's got the winning thing down. He does have the winning thing down. All right, Elmo, look, I'm gonna go back to the phone lines again, see what people say. I mean, you put your word out there, Adam put his word out there. That's what this show's about. I want to hear what you guys think. It was a 42-16 win, but it was ugly. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. I don't want anyone waiting too long. Who's this and where you calling from?
It's David, straight from the Mecca, baby. How you doing, Mickey G?
What's up, man? Good to talk to you. Good to hear your voice.
Hey, been a while.
What'd you think?
It was scary. I ain't gonna lie. I'm trying to tell you right now, Mickey G, it was scary. But I had to think about it for a second, just really narrow it out. That team that we played tonight was not the same team we played last year.
Yeah,
that's
true.
A different team.
Yeah.
That's a better team. If we would have played the team we played last year, we would have rolled them. You know what I'm saying, Mickey G? We would have rolled them. But that's not the same team,
Yeah.
But to that last caller, he was talking about Milroe not being the man, and we ain't gonna make it to the championship with him. I don't think we're gonna make it to the championship without him.
Yeah.
We need this game. This game is struggle game. Every time we get a struggle game like this, our team turns into some kind of miracle giant and just rolls through. So that's what I'm hoping they'll do. They'll come together. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, look, David, here's a point right here that SK makes. No slants, no hot reads. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it just didn't feel like they did anything to adjust to the blitz. Some of that's on Milroe, but some of that's on the play calling. I'm watching these guys running down the field.
I think it's a play calling.
Yeah, I was looking at that. And it's like we can run the ball if our offensive line, gets where it need to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But without Proctor, it's gonna be hard for us.
Well, he's going to be back soon. I mean, unless this is all like just fluff and he really has like a torn rotator cuff or something.
David,
I hope
David,
so.
Can you hear me?
I sure hope so. We need them guys to be healthy. We got the running backs. J.M. Miller's a monster. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love that dude. Haynes, oh man, we got good backs. I'm not worried about that part. I'm just ready for them to get that line going. If we get that line going, we'll be all right. I believe that.
Yeah, so do I. And you're right about the struggle wins. I mean, how many struggle wins have we had against Auburn and then go in there and kick the shit out of Georgia? And all their cocky fans and all the talk.
And I love every one of them.
Oh, they're the best team that's ever played football. And then, they lose, I mean, I get it. I mean,
right.
Right.
Like I said, this is a different team than we played. It's a better team. This team that we played tonight was a better team. And I got to give it to them. They brought everything they could. It was a boxing match for a while. But we Alabama, and we do what Alabama do, and we got the win, and that's what I was so proud of. But I wanna. Did you see? Did you see Ryan Williams tonight?
He's awesome.
He's wonderful. He's wonderful.
Hey, David, did I see him getting grabbed on every play? Did I see the officials
right,
only
that's
call
what
one of those? Did I see him get mugged out there? And they saw everything that Formby did. But they didn't see any of the shit that went on there. I mean, it was like the guy's just trying to run up, and they made a mistake, and they left him open, and he got in the end zone again.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was going to get to. They grabbed, pushed, kicked, everything they could to him, man, and they didn't call none of those calls. But when it come to us getting the penalties, flags were thrown like they were the quarterbacks them damn self, the referees. I didn't understand that. I really didn't. It kind of made me mad.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Williams is a good kid, and they just let him get bullied like that. I know the world saw it. Everybody seen it, but the refs.
Yeah. It was kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. I mean, that was kind of getting on my nerves. But you know what, though? It's like you said, you have to have these type of games to get you to where you want to get to. And if we would have just went in there and ran over these guys like we did last week, it wouldn't have given us a real feel and a sense of urgency for these games that we got coming up, because we got two big games coming up, two really tough games.
Yeah.
And honestly, a whole season of tough games.
Right. Well, yeah, we got a hell of a schedule. About that Georgia game, though, that's the last thing I want to touch on. I'm not worried about Georgia. We somehow always have a number. I don't know what it is. The only time we lost to them, and that was under the Nick Saban era, was when we lost most of our wide receivers in the championship game.
I know.
Besides that, we own Georgia. And I do believe that we still got the receipts. So, yeah, Mickey G. We're gonna do this thing the right way. I think we're gonna bounce back off today's struggle win. I gotta just say to call it that. And the team's gonna come together.
Well, I'm with you. I mean, I still believe that this team could be a national champion. And nothing has changed my mind other than, you know what? They just got to take a step forward. And and a game like this is a good game to take a step forward. And next week, you got a really tough game. It's going to be different. It's a different style offense. It's a different type of football game. It's a different tempo to the game. That team in Wisconsin isn't going to be able to do the same things that these guys did. Then you're going to play Georgia. But when you play Tennessee, you're playing what we saw tonight, exactly the same thing, maybe a little better. Maybe they hit some of them deep passes on you, and it's a different game that way too.
I hate Tennessee. I hate Tennessee, and I used to like Josh Heupel. Here, Tennessee, man. I hate Tennessee. I hate them. They make me sick. My stomach roll every time I hear Tennessee. Yeah, look, it's
bunch of
Alabama,
snitches,
man, and you know how we do. You know how we do. We're a second half team most of the time. We'll get out there and we'll do what we need to do. It'll be a different time, a different type of team, but if we can just Get that offensive line to act right. We'll be all right.
I think they're going to be just fine, man. I think this was a good test. And we saw it last year, but we got to get more consistency. I mean, we were inconsistent on the line last year, and that's an area where Alabama's got to get better. They got to be more consistent on the offensive line. Plain and simple. True. Plain and simple. Well, good to hear from you, David. Any final thoughts?
Hey, Mick,
I just want to say, roll tide, baby.
Roll tide. Let me go to the press conference right now with the coach. And great to hear from you, David. And let's do it again soon, man. Awesome call. And now we'll go to Coach DeBoer. If I can get the sound to work. Well, we got him up. We just can't hear him. So I don't know. All right, I'm trying to get Coach DeBoer's audio to work. I really do want to hear. Here we go.
You do it in practice with ball security, limiting turnovers. And is that something that'll be more of a focal point this coming week?
Yeah, I mean every day there's something, but Tuesdays is a big time priority. We start the week off with that, and there's other things. I mean, it is we talk about the ball as a program, and how important it is taking care of it, and also getting it. And so we won't have to raise the level of how much we stress it, because we stress it significantly. And so, it's guys just learning, that when you make a big play, there's people behind you, they're chasing you. They're coming from all angles, and we got to do a better job being conscious of that. And, this guy's got out of their game a little bit, and got a little loose with it. So we'll watch on film. I don't know exactly how the fumbles were created, but a lot of the things we talked about, I think, are what happened.
Yeah, I don't think we saw Elijah Pritchard on offense until about 6 minutes left. What went into him not playing until then, and kind of then inserting him at that point?
Yeah, he got last game, just a minor thing. We were trying to get through it. He didn't practice much early in the week, but practice Wednesday and Thursday, and so was ready to go. Probably worked a little bit more on the left side, and we felt good, after the week was we've gone through the week that that we were just going to roll with what we had with Book and Gino, but he was ready to go. He could have started the game, and we were just trying to hold on as long as possible. Just try to keep him 100% healthy. He got through just fine tonight, and I think we're going to be in better shape offensive line wise going into next week. So it was a little touch and go there at some points during the week with a few different guys.
Just kind of building off that, how did you see the offense shift and change in that final 6 minutes when he came in the game and kind of things opened up?
Yeah, it was just not having penalties, not being behind the chains. You guys saw it too, and it's hard to call a game. It's hard to overcome, second and long, third and long situations. And so, we had to learn some lessons the hard way tonight. There's no doubt about it. 2 touchdowns that are called back, because of holding calls and obviously the turnover inside the 5-yard line. But, when we didn't hold and we were, move the ball forward, good things were happening. But we have to be able to do it on consecutive plays over and over and over again and have sustained drives. And so, last week we probably didn't get put in that position to where we had to sustain drives, right? We were explosive. The ball was down the field. Guys were making huge runs. And so, that mindset, has to kind of carry over from this week to next week, in an understanding that we have to grind the ball, grind it out every once, grind it out. It can't just be explosive plays. And with that comes, executing. And there's other things too that we certainly can be better on, things we can help Jalen out with. Jalen, I know how he is. He's going to put it all on himself, and that's the way he always is. But there's other things we can do to help him out. Sometimes they're kind of on the borderline of a missed assignment. It's just guys not executing and helping him out as well as they could up front. The skill guys, it's a whole team effort. On offense, every guy's got to execute. Everyone's got to do their job for it to go clean.
On some of those penalties, I think we saw you get a little bit heated, with the officials. Just for us that haven't watched you, over the years, just how often does that happen, and what were you seeing on some of those that was getting to you?
Yeah, they obviously saw, and I saw some things too on why they called stuff. There's other things I felt, and when you get into where it's that tight, now all of a sudden everything gets called tight, and so I get it. It's just, I'm just trying to make sure kind of that everyone's held accountable, and I got to hold my guys accountable when we aren't executing and doing things. And there's a lot of calls that, most of them we were holding, we were doing things that you can't do. And we got to clean up our part of it. But, just making sure that, the things that I saw also that I was addressing, that I wanted them to make sure they kept an eye on.
Coach, on the touchdown run, Jam Miller, just saw the passion and how he's fighting to get in that end zone. What does he bring this offense from that perspective, his passion as a running back?
Yeah, he's just really quiet when he doesn't like to say too much, but when he gets a chance to touch the ball, we see what can happen. And you don't get to see it a lot in practice because it's different tempos. The scrimmages, we've seen times where what you saw tonight, him getting loose and making those guys miss. I love the cutback. He did it early enough to where really, there wasn't a lot of chance for the defender to make a play. So he's explosive. He can run inside. He can run outside. Did a nice job all around. And I know he'll take it super hard too with the one turnover he had there too. So he's got a fire in his eyes, and he came back, wanted the ball, and that's what I love about him. That's what I love about a lot of our guys. They want to get back in there. They want to get back in the fight and go help the team.
Coach, towards the end of the game, there's a couple times there were some momentum starters, I would say, for momentum with Ryan Williams having that big touchdown catch, and then also too with Jalen Mbakwe stepping up with that big kickoff return. I guess to have those guys be so young and make plays like that when it's really needed, how impressive is that?
Yeah, a lot of new faces, young, and even some just guys coming into this program that have really helped us out. And the foundation is still all the guys that have been here. They understand the standard, they understand that, and the leadership down in the locker room, whether it's halftime, whether it's the end of the game, holding each other accountable, including themselves, but also, showing that, hey, we can be better. Look what would happen if we just played our game and did our job and did it the right way. And Ryan, and the catch that he had, I love that that Jalen has enough confidence in him to rip it out there and let him go make a play, because there's a lot of options on that one play for Jalen. He can hand the ball off. He can throw a little perimeter throw, and he can also throw a hitch out there. And he chose to go to Ryan with the hitch and identification, being on the same page. I love that he trusts, Ryan in that moment, when we got to keep the chains moving, we're looking to score, of course, but Ryan coming through, he's done that a few times now, obviously. And, those are just the steps that I love seeing. Bach stepping in when we needed a return, and doing what he did. That was really key. He just, unfazed, hopped in there. He's very confident. We've got a lot of confidence in him. Unfortunately, obviously Cole went down and he was ready to go.
A few more questions. Start on the left side of Tony.
What did you see, or what did you think of Tyler Booker's move to left tackle? And then he's so good at run blocking from that left guard spot. Do you feel like you guys kind of were limited in that move, or, in some of your consistency in the running game?
No, I think wherever he's at, we're really good. I'm sure he's going to look at it and learn a lot about playing tackle, just with the number of snaps he's played in his career, versus guard. And, didn't worry too much about him at all. I think a lot of it is just the number of reps that they've had together. And it was just pretty much this week for a few practices. And it showed that we weren't on the same page with different things and different calls. And so, they got to tighten that up. But Book certainly provides a punch and impact wherever he's at. When he's inside, it's just the firmness of the pocket, the run blocking, the push off the line of scrimmage. It's strong, and when he was outside today, I didn't really worry too much about, a rush and on a one-on-one. I thought he looked really good in practice. I was excited on Tuesday when he took some reps there. And, we rotated a lot of different groups or multiple groups of guys at different spots throughout the week. But he looked good there. And I was very confident going into tonight with him at left tackle.
You mentioned a couple of minutes ago when Cole Adams went out. Just do you have an update on where things stand with him?
Yeah, he just had an arm injury. And I would say we'll have to see, exactly where that's at. Just to the extent of that, I didn't necessarily see, and I didn't even realize it was his arm until he kind of got up. I thought it was something in the lower leg, but we'll kind of see where he's at throughout the week. But unfortunate. I mean, he was, I think, more just frustrated that he got hurt than it was maybe even the pain that he was going through. But I'm sure, didn't feel good.
Coach, the way your team finished tonight, what does that say about your team? What have you learned about your team, and how does that carry forward to the next week and weeks ahead?
Yeah, I'm not going to ever question. I told them this. I'm never going to question the want to, and the way they practice. They practice hard. The energy, in the locker room before the game. I mean, they wanted to go out there and I felt like there was a lot of guys straining out there. It's a word we use a lot to make plays, to finish. Sometimes we're straining too much, and we got to understand that, you can't make that push in the back, or you can't, tug the jersey in that split second of a hold. And those moments were the ones that cost us a lot of momentum, a lot of big plays. And so, in the locker room, we talked about learning from it. And there's some great lessons on learning that if we just stay in the fight and we just keep playing and live to see another down, it's amazing what this team can accomplish. And so, remember this time when it was 14-13, I believe that's what it was. And you just kept swinging, you just kept playing. And I'm proud of that. That's what it's going to take to win some close games, even if they're not pretty, because all wins aren't going to be that way. Awesome. Thank you. Roll Tide.
Hey, great job there. I love listening to Kalen DeBoer. I'm going back to the phone lines. Clint Lamb's about to jump on. I want to remind you guys, if you're watching on Bama Tailgate, we're going to be on Cover Crimson with the postgame show. We're going to do it a couple times, simulcast it, but make sure that you subscribe to that channel. That's where the postgame show is going to be from here on out. So, but we wanted to tell everybody, because I felt like last week we missed a lot of you guys, and it's good to see you guys back again. And the other thing I want to say is thank you for being here, man. Roll Tide. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. Get in the comments section. Love all the comments. Going back and forth, talking about a lot of stuff. Let me go back to the phone lines. 17 minutes waiting on the phones. I got to get to you now. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick. How you doing? This is Brandon from D.C.
Brandon from D.C., man. My neck of the woods. How are you doing?
Hey, doing wonderful, man. First off, I got to say Roll Tide. That game took probably maybe 5 years off my life. USF, I hope we don't ever schedule them again. Sometimes it's just bad matchups, right? And their coach, again, everyone forgets he was the OC for Tennessee that ran up the score on us. The defensive coordinator, he's great. So, again, a lot of times when you have those smaller linebackers, smaller safeties, and you're able to do a lot of stunts, that's why they were giving our O-line trouble. Again, right tackle, man, it's a struggle because, again, Formby's a young guy. I want people to take it easy on him. He had a bad game. He had a great first game. A lot of times when you start reaching and all of a sudden your confidence starts dipping, in my opinion, they should have probably put it in a tight end to kind of help him as far as making sure that he's getting a chip and that he could focus in on more of the gaps, right? And so whenever you see a guy struggling like that, the coach was trying to hold on, man, but as soon as they took him out and put Pritchard in, you saw it was just a different flow of game. So I'm still a big fan of Formby, man. I think he has a lot of talent, but I think moving forward, they got to go with Pritchard. Again, O-line, man, a lot of his communication. I'm a Jalen Milroe fan. I think he's grown exponentially. I think a lot of times the comparison that you see between him and Lamar Jackson is fair, right? They have trouble reading from top to bottom a lot of times because when they see the blitz, they want to rely on their athleticism instead of using pocket awareness and pocket presence to maybe just do a slight slide and then all of a sudden just hit a quick route, right? So his check downs were there. You've got Ryan, a lot of times he's running slants or they got him running deep. RPO is there. You got to be able to trust your eyes. And so when he started getting blitzed like crazy, he wasn't trusting his eyes. And when you see zero blitz, you get the ball out fast, right? So it's a 3-step drop, get the ball out fast. You're already in shotgun. You're safe. Everyone's going to rely. He has speed, right? So they got to trust that, one, they're going to get there. But if you're Jalen Milroe, you know that I can get out of any pocket if I want to. But if I stay in here and I slide up, my protection is going to be there well enough to where I get the ball out fast to my playmakers. So I want to see more progression there. I'm still a Jalen Milroe fan. I think we're giving up on him. I heard the one caller talking about, he's not a quarterback. In my opinion, he's grown tremendously. But again, just his quick reads, and if you put the RPO in, he has to be able to trust his eyes. I think that there were a lot of plays in there where it was RPO and he just ran, right?
Yeah.
You got to keep the defense honest and you got to hit those quick slants. You got a Ryan Williams, you got a Jeremy Bernard, you got a Kendrick Law. You give them bubble screens, you give them quick slants, man, they might be a house call, right?
Yeah.
Hollywood scored on a hitch, right?
I know.
So those plays were there. Jalen just wasn't trusting his eyes and he wasn't throwing them, right? And so that's where we want to be able to get him to get confident saying, give it to my playmakers, get the ball in my hands fast, and so I can get settled, right? And then you can start hitting the deep balls. I agree with you, man. The holding calls on Hollywood, the whole game was insane. Right? He was
bullshit.
burning the guy.
It was bullshit.
Crazy. It was terrible. And you know what I mean? Like they're hand fought. He's like, no, this dude is literally preventing him from running downfield, and yet the ball is right there. He can't go up because the guy's grabbing him. So the officiating was terrible the whole game. We didn't help ourselves by the holding calls. But again, I think that a lot of people just got to calm down. Our defense, in my opinion, is actually well equipped to match up against Tennessee, believe it or not. Justin Jefferson being out next week for the first half is going to be a big loss. So you're going to see a lot more Jihad on the field. You saw he was getting burnt out at the end of the game. So we got to really make sure we hone in and focus in when we play Wisconsin. It won't be as fast-paced as USF. So I think we're going to be fine. I think everybody just needs to calm down.
Yeah. Hey, great call, man. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I see it the same exact way. Same exact way.
Absolutely.
You can't.
Yeah, Mick,
you can't
y'all
look.
do a phenomenal job, man.
Oh, thanks, Brandon. Look, man, you can't. And I'm a Ravens fan. I think you know that. So I watch a lot of Lamar Jackson.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And I get it, man. I mean, like, you can't dismiss the fact that Milroe can run a touchdown in because he can. I mean, like, if you don't get the holding call and he goes into the end zone on that long run, it's a totally different game. The officials were the flags were fishy, man. The flag, and so was the line.
That was some bullshit on that touchdown.
Yeah, and
that was bullshit. Man, I'm right there with you.
And that
was such a poor call, man.
Brett was like, man, the line's dropped. He was telling me this before the game. It's like the line's dropping. And then when I saw the officiating, I was like, oh, you know what? There's something's going on. Something. I mean, it's, something. Somebody knew something.
It was bad, man.
And then what you do is you just do enough to and then all of a sudden they're in it and they played a good game. That's a much better team than last year. But some of those penalties, you could call that crap every single play. You can go back in there and find a hold on every play. You can find. But you're telling me you're calling the line of scrimmage against us like you got to call every single thing, and then you're going to let their DBs grab our wide receivers on every route? I mean, come on, man.
Mick, wait till you and Clint go back and look at USF's offensive line. There's a reason why they were getting outside so easy.
Yeah, right.
I remember Deron Payne was coming around the corner. He got held.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they were holding our D-line. Our D-line, a lot of people won't – Tim Keenan was a beast, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to look at the D-line. Our D-line played very well when we stopped shooting upfield and we actually settled in and allowed him to stay in the pocket because he couldn't throw he literally couldn't throw 5 yards, right?
Yeah.
He was most inaccurate. If we play Tennessee, it's a different in my opinion – if we don't get it together, those deep shots, man, those are going to be TDs.
I'm seeing the same thing.
The coach is going to be talking about it.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to get that shit in order, man, because when we play Tennessee, I don't want to get too far out ahead, but if we play Tennessee, that quarterback is very accurate, and he's not going to miss, right?
Yeah,
so they're going to go back to the drawing board. Nico, man, he's a beast, right? And you saw what they did to NC State. We have the athletes to match up with it, so I'm not concerned. But there were a lot of times, man, when those DBs, those eyes started creeping up because they were worried about the run, and the quarterback was launching it over their head. So, we got to clean it up. We've got some young DBs. I thought they did very well, in my opinion. We didn't see a ton because that quarterback can't really throw. So I want to see our DBs continue to progress, get more comfortable, making sure that when they're doing press, man, they're setting things up. But that D-line, man, I'm telling y'all, our D-line and our linebackers are serious.
Yeah.
And they're going to be very competitive. I don't care what anyone says. When we play Georgia won't be able to handle that speed. USF was able to do it because they have a running quarterback. Beck is not a running quarterback.
Right.
So we'll be able to stand up in there and get pressure on him. So everyone be calm. It's going to be okay. Give it patience is due. Milroe is the answer. I'm a Lamar Jackson fan. Lamar struggles against the Chiefs, right? That was his kryptonite. The Chiefs have some serious athletes. When they play other teams, Lamar is going to run ram shot all over them, and he's going to be hitting the tight end lucky all game long, right? So just give Milroe a chance to be able to prove to y'all that it's just the scheme that USF had that most teams can't replicate because they don't have the athletes. He's going to be perfectly fine, man. So just trust your eyes, Milroe. Continue being you, man. You did a great job on the sideline, staying even keel. Continue just hitting your athletes. Continue to just be focused, and the team's going to be just fine, man. So I'm sorry I took up so much time, Mick, man. I was excited to talk with you, man. You and Clint do a phenomenal job. I'm so glad I'm fans of y'all because I followed you all as soon as you started up. Continue doing great work, and roll tide, man.
Roll tide. You're an all-American caller, Brandon. You're one of the best. Great to hear from you,
man. I'll call in more.
Yeah, can't wait to talk to you again,
brother.
man. Roll
Take
tide,
care.
bro. I love Brandon. I love all you guys, but I love Clint Lamb too. And he just said he wanted to hear what Clint Lamb thinks. Clint Lamb, we were not happy about the officiating. And what I want to tell everybody is that you're going to go back. You're going to watch every play of this game. And if you go to covercrimson.com, you're going to break it down. I want to know how many times they were holding our receivers on those plays. And we had the flags out for the offensive line, but we didn't have the flags out very often for the DBs and the safeties and the secondary for South Florida. I want to know. I can't wait for you to go do that.
I think it was more, you say the flags were out for the offensive line. The flags were out for one offensive line. And I mean, you never want to blame too much on the officials. I totally get it. There were so many problems with this game from Alabama's perspective that has nothing to do with the officials. But, the penalties certainly played a part. And if you go back and look, I mean, a lot of what they were calling, it's a legitimate call. Wilkin Formby on some of those things was absolutely holding. But here's the thing. I mean, at the end of the game, I was down there on the field. It was crazy to me how much Tim Smith and Damon Payne and a lot of those guys were being held up. And it was crazy. And I understand at the end of a game, if you're, especially when you're down big, they'll kind of let you run with it a little bit. I totally understand that. They'll let some things slide that probably they wouldn't normally, but it was like every single play. And I was actually really impressed. I mean, James Smith right there at the end of the game, or one of the last plays, I mean, he was applying pressure when, I felt like he was being held too. But it wasn't just that. It was the fact that a couple of defensive linemen for USF was lined up offsides on, I think it was Ryan Williams' touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. There's two different ones. And from my angle, they didn't call that. There was a lot as far as what you're talking about as far as Ryan Williams downfield, preventing him from being able to get into his routes and stay in his routes. But on top of that, Alabama did a lot wrong in this game too. So you don't want to blame it just on the officials, but I mean, there was just so many different things that you could look back at, and it's like I didn't understand the intentional grounding call at all. I thought that Jalen Milroe was hit and that affected the throw.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go back and watch the replay and stuff, but from kind of first time through, that was the one. A lot of it you look at and you say, okay, that technically is a penalty. A lot of times guys get away with a lot more than that in most cases, but they are technically penalties, so you can't get too upset about it. But with the intentional grounding, I thought that was a complete whiff on their part. And, it certainly played a factor because, granted, it feels like Alabama's offense is just – it makes things more difficult than it has to be sometimes. And
Right.
That's what I thought Kalen DeBoer and company were going to be brought in to fix. And I still think that they're going to, but they're still going through some of those growing pains and, going through that transition. But it's just things get difficult sometimes. But instead of a 2nd and 7, or a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 6, now it's, a 2nd and 16 or something. And now they're really behind the sticks.
Right.
And, it was really affecting the plays. But, yeah, I mean, it was an unfortunate game for the most part, but you got to give them a lot of credit for pulling through at the end because, I mean, at one point, with as many chances as Alabama was giving them, it felt like USF was completely blowing every chance that Alabama gave them. And, they ended up capitalizing and getting a field goal in the fourth quarter. But the way Alabama played the fourth quarter, one thing about it, and I know I'm rambling here, but there's just so much going on that I want to talk about. But it was I felt like the play calling was intentionally vanilla.
Mhm.
And what first had me starting to notice that was you didn't see all these exotic motion pre-snap stuff like you did
Right.
last week. And I started paying attention, and as the game carried on and the USF was keeping it close and it actually ended up being a battle, Alabama started to do a little bit more. You didn't see a whole lot of jets early. And then when I say early, I mean throughout like the first 2.5 quarters. There just wasn't a whole lot of creativity. And I would say throughout the entire game, there wasn't a whole lot of creativity. But I thought that they got better as the game carried on because they knew that it was a dogfight. But yeah, that felt intentional. Maybe they thought that this was going to be a much easier test than they were, originally anticipating. But USF brought it. You got to give them a lot of credit.
They brought the intensity, and we had. I think it was. I think it was David. It was one of our great callers. And guys, thumbs up give us a thumbs up if you're hanging out. Don't forget, Clint and I do a show every day, 1:00 on covercrimson.com. And that's where this postgame show eventually is going to be. And, we're always going to have Bama Tailgate, but where the postgame show is going to be is on Cover Crimson. And I'm really proud to be part of both of them. Big Sexy Elmo and me. We're going to be on in the morning. Clint and me, we're going to be on in the afternoon, and we're going to be on live, and we're going to be taking your thoughts of the game and all that stuff every single day. So that's why we wanted to kind of combine forces today, because I felt like last week we missed a lot of you guys. And also, I'm telling you right now, you want to be part of covercrimson.com because Clint's going to go back and watch every single play, and he's going to document it all, and then he's going to come back and give you like a professor's view of what happened in that game. And so, just keep that in mind. But Clint, I kind of feel like that the Bulls were a good team. I mean, they were definitely improved. I feel like Alabama left a lot on the field, talked about the officiating. This wasn't one of Milroe's best games. And there's some people that aren't Milroe fans, but to me, it's like through all the good and all the bad, the guy just seems to find a way to win. And some of it was frustrating, but I guess if you don't want to hit on all cylinders game 2, I mean, you got to build to that, I guess. That's my wishful thinking right here.
Yeah, and what USF started doing, it felt like, at least for a while, is they started figuring out, okay, if we hammer inside gaps with blitzes, you're rushing 4, a lot of times they would bring 5, and you would also see a quarterback spy. But their intention there was, we're going to hammer the inside gaps, get Jalen Milroe on the move, and I will say he prefers to drift to his right way more than his left. That makes a lot of sense. He's right-handed. But they would anticipate that, and then you already had a quarterback spy working his way over the top and immediately applying pressure. And I feel like that happened a bunch. Now, all this stuff that I say, sometimes I go back and I watch the tape and you find out, okay, maybe that's not what happened. But I will say, watching it live, it felt very much like that was very intentional on USF's part. You would think that a lot of teams would want to keep him in the pocket, but if you can immediately get somebody in his face after you forced him out of the pocket, he doesn't always do great with pressure in his face. So they started figuring out, okay, he starts getting into a little bit of panic mode because things aren't going well. Some of the deep shots and stuff. Obviously, Ron Williams was, getting a lot of pass interference calls and stuff downfield. But, I will say, when you look at the way that Jalen Milroe played in this game compared to what we've kind of seen from him in the past, he does struggle with some pre-snap stuff. That's continued. He's never going to be a guy, or I wouldn't say that he's never going to be a guy, but up to this point, he doesn't consistently elevate the other guys around him. And that is one thing that I would like to see a little bit more from him Sometimes, the quarterback just has to carry a football team, and guys aren't getting good protection. Guys aren't getting open, whatever the case may be. And, when things are going well, guys are getting open. He's getting good protection. He tends to perform really, really well because he also brings that rushing dynamic with his legs. But anytime that you can get consistent pressure on him, things are kind of not – I mean, obviously the turnovers weren't good. It felt like things got away from Alabama pretty quickly. And what I would like to see from him is he's got to be that steadying force, when those kind of things happen. He's got the talent. He's got the ability, but he's got to understand that if they're bringing pressure, something's being left. There's something available to you.
Right,
and I don't think that he always, he's not always in that mindset. You saw his eyes start to drop. He was focusing too much on the pass rush. That affected him. So, and he's not, I said this last week, and I'll continue to say he's not a finished product. What he brings to the table, he showed all that stuff too, all the touchdowns, the ability to run the football. But, he's got some weaknesses. They're trying to work on that. But when you combine that with the fact, Kalen DeBoer just praised Tyler Booker and his performance at left tackle tonight, which I will say, I think he performed really well. But you took an elite guard and you made him a serviceable, pretty good left tackle. So you sacrificed there. You don't have your starting left tackle, who should be one of your best 5 out there. You've got Wilkin Formby, who's still figuring a lot of things out. Elijah Pritchett, don't really know what was going on with him. There were some rumors about maybe he was banged up or something, but then he came in at the end of the game. So it's like, okay, obviously he wasn't banged up. I don't know exactly what was going on.
Or he played anyway.
Exactly.
Hey, Clint, let me ask you a question. What the hell was going on behind you there a couple minutes ago?
Oh, man, some people having fun. Yeah, I mean, just some Alabama fans that are
having fun.
Yeah, it's Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. I've been in college before. I get it.
Oh, look, Elmo wants to say hi to you real quick. Big sexy Elmo wants to jump in. Look at this guy right here.
Brother?
He's at the Pie Factory in Jasper, of all places.
What are you doing, my man?
I'm trying to stay out of trouble. You know how it is, Big Sexy.
Of course you are. Yeah, of course you are. No, I was looking at all this, and I've heard your commentary and everything, and I've been looking at the comments. Everyone wants to blame Jalen Milroe for this. We have won consistently, and everyone wants to say Ty Simpson is a better quarterback. Give me proof. Where's the proof? Where's everything like this? The offensive line did not play very well tonight. Where's the proof on all this? And that's what I've got to give. I mean, Clint, you're laughing, but everyone is always against Milroe. I don't understand it.
Well, I think a lot of that has. I mean, anytime it's like not everything that was going wrong with the defense a few years ago was Pete Golden's fault, but he's the defensive coordinator, so he gets blamed for everything. Jalen Milroe's the starting quarterback. When things are going wrong with the offense, you blame the play calling and you blame the quarterback. That's typically what you do. Now, granted, there's been a lot of attacks on the offensive line, which it was not a great performance from that group, so it's all warranted. I don't think it was a great performance from Jalen Milroe. But here's the thing. What you're wanting Jalen Milroe to overcome all these situations that you're putting him in. And you might be criticizing everybody else. And I saw plenty of tweets where people were saying Wilkin Formby needs to get benched. He's terrible. They were attacking him in the same way they were attacking Jalen Milroe. But it's like, if you're actually going to step up and make that change at quarterback, by that point, you have to make some changes elsewhere too. You can't just say everything that's going wrong is the quarterback's fault. And I will say there might be some stuff that Ty Simpson brings to the table from a pre-snap perspective, seeing certain things, getting you in some better looks. That might be a part of this where you see that improve with the offense. But what are you sacrificing as far as what Jalen Milroe brings to the table? That's something I don't think people quite understand. Ty Simpson's a dual threat quarterback. He's got a lot of mobility. He can escape. But I think with the way that the offensive line performed tonight, I think that he's not going to perform much better in this situation. You've got to start with you got to put a quarterback in a position to succeed. And what no one can tell us is how was anybody doing that for Jalen Milroe tonight? I don't feel like the play calling was very creative. I feel like a lot of that, is intentional. So I'm not going to necessarily say well, that they screwed up by doing that. I think they maybe underestimated USF, but the offensive line wasn't performing. The refs weren't helping. When guys were getting open or had a chance to get open, they're not. USF's holding guys. They're not calling it. Anytime they get any sort of positive momentum, like name a time other than the fourth quarter where you felt like Alabama had some consistent momentum. Offensively. Defensively, there were certainly some times, but offensively, man, it was really, really bad. And a lot of it was penalty based. If you take away the penalties and the number of times that they were put in really bad situations, second and long, third and longs, you had 2 touchdowns called back due to a penalty. I mean, it's just like Jalen Milroe at all, for a variety of reasons, was not put into a situation where he could be, as successful as he's capable of being. And so you can't say, okay, because everything was going wrong around you and you didn't correct all of it and overcome all of it, you need to get benched. We need to put somebody else in there. I don't think that's the solution, to be honest.
Look, I'm not disagreeing. I saw where someone said they said he was like Blake Sims. I think he's much better than Blake Sims. I think he's way more explosive. I know he has his limitations, but we compare everyone to like Bryce Young, who's the best that we've ever had, and Tua, and and I think he's more like Jalen Hurts, to be honest with you. I think there's my comparison.
But the guy threw for 2,800 yards last season.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I like him. I mean, I don't think that there's a
and I don't understand the argument of Ty Simpson. Everybody wants to get on the chat board and say Ty Simpson needs to be the next quarterback. We're winning football games. We're undefeated. I don't understand that.
Well, I will say, as far as that's concerned, and this is just my personality. Anytime someone makes an argument, it doesn't matter what it is regarding, I try to put myself in their shoes and understand where they're coming from. I feel like with that, it's like, okay, Alabama was winning games last year until they weren't. You were winning, you win big against MTSU, but then you play a really good team like Texas, and at that point, a lot of things went wrong. A lot of it was out of Jalen Milroe's control, but he also had a couple of really big contributing factors in that loss. I don't think that everything that went wrong in the Michigan game was his fault or even close, but there were some things that he could have done better. So it's like every quarterback that's ever been at Alabama has won football games. There's never been
Ty Simpson playing this game last year.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And you talk about, he took a lot of sacks. His internal clock was not sped up. And I do feel like he's gotten better. I feel like Jalen Milroe's gotten way better since the Texas game last year. But what I want to tell people is I understand the argument where you say what you're doing is you're taking high school talent and ability and you're applying it in what he did well in high school and with the limited that you've seen him in very controlled situations at the end of football games, other than the USF game last year. And you're saying, okay, because he was able to do these things better in high school, he'll be able to do those things better on the college level. And that will be better for the offense. And I just don't think there's a lot of assuming going on with that. These coaches, and there's a team element to this that people's got to understand. The locker room absolutely loves Jalen, so you might actually get better play out of Ty Simpson. But what are you doing from a locker room standpoint? Like we don't know all the inside details of that. Nick Saban dealt with some stuff in that locker room last year because guys wanted Jalen Milroe to be the quarterback. They respected him. He was around. He works his tail off. He's a great guy. And Nick Saban has said the players will tell you who the best players are. Because if they're not going to pull for Jalen to be the quarterback, the wide receivers aren't going to want him to be the quarterback if he can't get in the football consistently. So there's factors involved, I think, with everybody that we've got to understand we're not going to know, and that's just a part of this. But I think if you throw Ty Simpson out there tonight, I don't think the results vastly different at all, if any different. And it's also possible that things could have been a lot worse because I don't think that Ty Simpson, even though he's extremely mobile, but he's mobile, he's not Jalen Milroe when it comes to running the football. And you really needed that element at times in this game.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear your breakdown and read your breakdown on this game and just kind of get into, what you see in that capacity too. I mean, it's hard to sit there and watch and then be able to see exactly what's going on with the offensive line and where the receivers are. But I felt like that Alabama probably could have done some things to help him with the play calling when the blitzes were on. I mean, he saw a lot of blitzes and he didn't handle them all that well. But I felt like a lot of that was also that you got to have hot reads and sometimes you do screens and maybe a little Utah shuttle. I mean, it's just whatever it takes. It just didn't really feel like a lot of that stuff was happening in the game. But still, there were a lot of great moments in this game too.
Well, I mean, especially late, but I mean, this is now the second year in a row that Jalen Milroe's been the full-time starting. Well, I would say full-time, but pretty much full-time starting quarterback, and you've never seen that kind of stuff. You haven't seen a ton of RPO stuff. You haven't seen a lot of the screen game used. I think that is partly, or it could partly be, that maybe Jalen Milroe is not as comfortable in those areas as people realize. And it's not just as simple as, well, it's a really short pass, it's a screen, Jalen Milroe should be able to do it. I mean, to a degree, you're correct, but guys just aren't comfortable with certain elements. And I think I'm not going to say that definitively because I don't know. I'm not in that locker room. I don't know I don't watch all the practices. But just you've had two different coaching staffs, and that feels like a very easy solution, and you haven't really been getting that as a solution. So there's a reason for that, and that's what you got to remind yourself of. Okay, why is this not happening? But I mean, defensively wasn't perfect either. I felt like early on, guys, they were running the football extremely well early on, whether it be, Byron Brown, Naquan Wright, the former Florida running back, he was having a lot of success. And it was just like Tennessee in 2022 in the sense of Nick Saban said on game day earlier today, they were talking about Tennessee's offense, the way it likes to spread you out. They like to run the football, and then they like to attack you vertically when you start to adjust to that. And Nick Saban made the comment, and he was very animated when he said it. He said, they make you stop the run. That is what Tennessee does. And Alex Golesh was their offensive coordinator when they really started that mentality with Josh Heupel. It's the same way here where they were having success running the football. And I will say Alabama is very, very lucky that Byron Brown is not a very good vertical passer.
No,
because if
there were guys open,
really open, but that was all a result of playing off of the success that they were having running the football. Alabama's adjusting; they're bringing guys up close to the line of scrimmage. Guys are starting to anticipate trying to stop the run. They're coming up way quicker than they normally would, and you start seeing some opportunities against a true freshman corner in some of those situations in Xavier Brown, where they were using the space and stuff to create some opportunities in the vertical passing game, and they just couldn't connect on it. So you've got to be able to stop the run, which is what I was hoping Alabama's defense would be able to do in this one, make them one-dimensional, and it not be through them playing complementary offense that way. It's because they don't have a choice, which is like what they had to do at the end of the game. And Alabama, when that started happening, they had a lot of success against them. So that's the difference, and that's something that you really need to see Alabama put an emphasis on moving forward if you're going to play, especially when they play Tennessee, is they've got to be able to stop the run and make Tennessee uncomfortable, because if you can do that, they're going to try some different things, but they're not nearly as successful at it. And that's exactly what Georgia did a couple years ago in 2022. They stopped the run. They put Hendon Hooker in some uncomfortable situations, and him not being able to kind of dictate things like he had done pretty much the entire year, he was not nearly as good of a player in that game.
A couple of comments I want to get to, and we appreciate the super chats, guys. Thank you so much. And don't forget, covercrimson.com is where the postgame show is going to be if you're watching on Bama Tailgate. So make sure that you are a subscriber to both places, right? Bama Tailgate and Cover Crimson. But Clint and I are on every day, and you guys know Big Sexy Elmo as well. Dirt Bike says a 148 rating isn't bad when you're pressured all game. Proctor out, he'll become a better decision maker. Play calling was off, but they'll fix it. Plus, I mean, they exploded at the end of the game, so they eventually did break through. But your comments on that, Clint, then I got one from Adam here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. The play calling was, and I'll continue to reiterate, I think it was intentional. I think it was very vanilla. It was very basic. And, that's something that we've kind of seen from Kalen DeBoer at other stops, where, Nick Saban kind of always had this approach where you treat every opponent the exact same. And I think, in interviews and stuff, he's always going to respect all the opponents. But you can tell by some of the decisions that they were making early in the game. Would they have now? Granted, if Elijah Pritchard wasn't healthy, maybe they would have had to have tried Tyler Booker out at left tackle. But are they doing that if it's not USF? If it's Wisconsin and Madison, are they putting Tyler Booker out there for the first time at left tackle? If it's against Georgia in Week 5, are they doing that for the first time? I don't know that. I don't know Kalen DeBoer well enough. He hadn't been here long enough. But I do feel like the play calling was very basic. You didn't see a whole lot of creativity, even like you did last week. And I think because they're playing Wisconsin next week, because they're going to be playing Georgia here in a couple of weeks, I think maybe they dialed some things back. And then at the end of the game, they're like, hey, we might lose this. We need to start. But granted, your game plan's your game plan at that point. You can't really go up and draw some stuff up on the whiteboard, and now you've got some creative plays ready to roll. So I think all that played a part. I think Jalen's going to be fine. I think the offensive line when Proctor gets back is going to be fine. I thought Pritchett played really well, so you got to give him a lot of credit for, how he performed when he came in at the end of the game, because it could be a situation where he kind of got benched after last week, and he responded well.
Come right to the front of the line with a super chat. Adam did it, $25. We appreciate it. If I had some bourbon in here, I'd take a shot for you, Adam, for $25. I'd give one to Clint.
Some bourbon, Mick. I mean, come on.
I need to put it in studio. All right, Milroe is not good. He takes ridiculous sacks, doesn't read defenses, doesn't go through progressions, holds the ball too long, overthrows wideouts. He has not improved. We will never win a title with Milroe. Clint.
They came an overtime away from being in a pretty good position to win a title with him last year. And so I respect the comment. I understand, where you're coming from and why you would think that. His biggest problem is when he starts being put under pressure, a lot of what the instincts take over. What your habits start to really, especially if they're habits you've been trying to break, they start creeping. When you're under duress, you're not thinking as clearly, and that's something that USF knew or started to figure out over the course of the game. Hey, let's blitz this guy a ton. Let's make him uncomfortable, and he's not responding great to it. But this is like a learning experience. I said when I saw him, in my opinion, completely melt down against Texas A&M in I guess 2022. 2022. I mean, I thought, I don't know if this guy will ever be good, because I don't know that I've ever seen a quarterback look that deer in headlights in their first
That's right.
And how much has that guy?
It was Arkansas.
It was Texas A&M. Well, he came in against Arkansas, and I thought he performed really well, and that had a lot of people encouraged. But that was kind of an on the fly what he brought to the table.
But you remember though, at the end of that game, he struggled. I mean, remember,
Yeah, he did.
we almost thought Bryce Young was going to have to come back in.
It was his legs that really carried Alabama in that game. But yeah, the offense started getting a little bit stale. Arkansas was able to make a comeback, but against A&M, he looked like a deer in headlights. I mean, he was getting a couple of strip sacks, threw a terrible interception.
Yeah,
he wasn't seeing anything as far. I mean, when I say anything, he wasn't. I mean, nothing pre-snap. It was just pure whatever play we're calling, we're running it. We're not making adjustments. We'll just let the rough edge drag, see how it goes. And then just last year you saw growth, and this year you have seen growth. I saw him going through progressions. You can't say he doesn't go through his progressions, because he did it last week. He threw a couple of touchdowns to Ryan Williams doing it. So it's not that he can't do it or he doesn't do it. It's that he's not doing it enough. But as he continues to get more experience, and I understand you're like, hey, he's in year 2 as a starter. I mean, but he is a player who's still growing and getting better. Jalen Hurts, every single year, I mean, I would say until last year, but he was in the NFL still making tremendous improvement year over year. So to say that Jalen Milroe should be a finished product right now, I don't think that's fair. And he's a very similar style player where he's learning that he's got to win the mental game at these levels, this level and on the NFL level, if he wants to be successful. And I think you'll continue to see him, work on that. And here's the thing, it's just like Jalen Hurts. What allowed Jalen Hurts to be more successful in the NFL than he even was in college at Oklahoma is and he's still struggling, and I understand that, but he works his tail off, and Jalen Milroe does too. So to think that that they're going to give up on him, let the coaches make the decision, because there are factors at play, and I still think he's got a lot of raw ability, but he's got to make improvement. I agree with that.
Super chats are coming in, and we'll get to them. Thank you, guys. Roll Tide to all of you. Make sure that you're a subscriber to Cover Crimson. Clint's right outside of the stadium. Big Sexy Elmo, I know your battery's about to die at the pie.
Yeah, my battery's about to die. I want to tell you guys, Roll Tide Adam hates me because I'm a Milrow fan. Adam, thanks for the super chat, everything. We'll reconvene some other day. Roll Tide, everybody. The bottom line is
Put your mask on one more time, Brett, when you talk to
the
everybody.
last word from Big Sexy Elmo tonight is we won tonight. And Clint, you're still outside the stadium. You've been there all day. Are you tucking in Nick Saban? I don't understand it. Hey, roll Tide. Roll Tide, my friends.
Good to see you,
And
Big
roll Tide,
Sexy.
everybody. Thank you.
Good to see you, brother.
That's my brother right there, man. Good job. Good job. Love the mask. All right, let's go right back. We got Next King. He says he makes it hard on himself to get rid of the football because of judgment.
He's not wrong. I mean, I do feel, but this entire Alabama offense makes things harder on themselves. It's like I was saying earlier. It feels like such a grind, man. Last week we're complaining about, hey, there's too many explosive plays. They're scoring too quickly. I'd like to see them actually have to grind some stuff out. And then you see this, and it's like, hey, guys, I mean, I know I said that, but let's find a nice little middle ground here, because this was like the polar opposite until the fourth quarter, and then you started to see it, and you saw what this offense is capable of. I would give Florida USF a ton of credit. I do feel like their open field tackling, they were very aggressive defensively. I feel like their open field tackling was really sound until about 8 or 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then just for whatever reason they just forgot how to tackle. And I think Alabama, it was a lot of what they were doing, but there were some really, really good. I know we've talked about a lot of the bad, and we should, because I don't care what the score is. It was 13-14 in the fourth quarter against USF when you're a 31-point favorite. So there's a lot that you got to work on, but give guys like Ryan Williams a lot of credit. I mean, just him being able to take the top off of the defense as far as having to draw penalties and working your way downfield that way. The run game was terrible for most of that game, but in the fourth quarter they started finding their groove. Jam Miller breaking a bunch of tackles. That touchdown run that he had was incredible. Just kind of showed off his ability. Justice Haynes should have had a couple of touchdowns, but he had one called back, unfortunately. But there was a lot of good in there too, but there's a lot they need to work on.
Yeah, let's go right back to the comments, and we appreciate the super chats. Thank you, Next King. And then Joseph says that the Adam guy flip-flops more than Kamala Harris. I don't really care about politics. You give me some money, we'll talk about it here. $5, hey, roll Tide. Some of the pressures were damn near on air. Took too long to give Formby tight end help. And I know, okay, so I'm going to say this. They all of a sudden went to like a 7-man protection there for a while because it got so bad. I mean, I was like, oh, my goodness.
And it was just, for most of the game, they weren't having success.